We are Systems Analysis Incorporated. We got together about 5 years back whenever the four of us graduated, me, Sean, Tiffany, and Corey. We all graduated in MIS or informatics, it just depended on the time frame. But whenever we got out, we realized that there wasn't really anybody filling the niche for a systems analysis group in Lafayette. We felt that we had the expertise that we had gained throughout our college years. We didn't really have the experience yet, but we had learned enough that we could maybe help some of the businesses around here. So we started doing that. And over the years, it just kind of expanded into what it is now. We have a couple steady clients that we talk to and a couple that we've helped. And it feels really good to be able to do that for the community. It's really good because we all come kind of from different backgrounds. And that helps us to have different opinions and different viewpoints on it. And since we all have our own specialties, we kind of just are cohesive as a team. We really work well together. And that helps us to put together a more complete project and a more complete solution for whoever we're helping at the time.
At the head of our team, we have Bryce Langer. He's our project manager. He's a great leader. He's very outgoing. He goes out to our customers, and we know that when he comes back, we will have a customer for life. He's a people person. He knows how to talk and what to say. And as far as the leaders, this guy keeps us positive. He pushes us. He pushes us to be the best we can be. Bryce is a great leader, but he couldn't do it alone. Without people like Tiffany Kirkland, our systems analysts, things that we do wouldn't be possible. She brings everything together. She takes our product that we make and makes it presentable for the client. She gives them what they want to see, what they asked for initially. Without her, our efforts would be for nothing. Tiffany definitely brings something to the table. Tiffany's definitely the polisher of our product. But Sean Starnes is the guy who makes it. He's our lead programmer. When we were looking for someone for a program for our company, there was no contest. We just went straight for him because throughout school he was always doing great work, always praised by his professors, and to this day he still shows that same quality. We'll give him a set of requirements, and within a week it turns out a finished product. He's still our lead choice. He's a hardcore programmer. When he's in the zone, this guy responds in binary. Even with the most polished and well-coded product, if no one knows about us, we don't have a business. That's where I come in. I am Corey Guidry. I'm the creative director for SAI. I'm the guy who gets us out there, who puts us in the media so people see and respect our company because it's very aesthetically pleasing.
Cultural learning experiences organizes opportunities for students to study abroad in the United States and other countries. They outsource their marketing and accounting, and they must provide reports to the firms to have it done, and the reports are made manually. Often it is inaccurate and slow. In addition, they wrote out the student schedules to send them on the trips. Also, data security is a problem. Anyone can go into the cabinets and access the students' information. Obviously, there's many issues, and they really needed our help.
So the CLE database posed a kind of a challenge for us. We had never really done anything dealing with travel before, and though that's not really much difference in terms of data, I mean, everything's just ones and zeros when it comes to computers, it offered a unique challenge in the sense of a lot of intersection tables. Not to throw in too much database jargon, but that kind of complicates the whole environment of the database and the application that we're going to create. It took a little bit of work to get everything right and to be able to pull the data in the correct fashion, as you'll see in the screen captures to come. But it ultimately gave us a much better product. It feels more complete, and it eliminates a lot of the mistakes that could possibly be made. It was a very fun project to work on. It offered a lot of knowledge to the entire team, and I think it was a good thing to undertake. Opening up the application is relatively simple. It's just like you would any other program that you have on your computer. You just double click on the icon. And whenever you're going and opening up the database, it'll prompt you with a password entry. It's set by default to CLE 2013. That can be changed in your preferences as you wish. So whenever you open it up, you'll be greeted with a navigation screen. It's basically just a tabbed menu that allows you to navigate through all the different forms and reports of the database. You have your basic data entry forms, similar like new course, new tour, all of that, as well as your reports tab. Some of the forms, like the reports tab right there, do have subforms and subreports underneath them that help you to navigate and to find the data that you need when you need it. So one of the biggest parts of creating an autonomous application for them that'll kind of take care of all the storage and retrieval information is having data entry that's efficient and easy to use for the employees to eliminate mistakes and make sure that the data is clean. So what we've done is on the navigation pane we have several different data entry forms. We have them for students and instructors, for tours and courses, and we took the process that they do now, the applications, the forms, and we mimic them with electronic forms. So all they have to do is have the paper in hand and they can just look at that and transfer the information on the computer and press submit, and everything else is going to be taken care of. It's a really easy process, and it's going to allow them to do historical information as well. So they won't have to worry about any of that. Some of the fail-safes that we included were the ability to choose the state abbreviation instead of having to type it in, because nobody has all those memorized anyway. So they'll be able to just enter those in from the list, and if it's not in the list, it won't accept it. We do have some different input masks included, such as the zip code can't have letters in it. It has to be 5 digits. Phone numbers are the same way. It's just some formatting things that are mostly for the aesthetic of the entire program. So the instructor form is kind of the same way. Just like the students, it has basically the same information, but it's separated into different tables. So you're not going to have your students mingled in with instructors, which is very important. Instead of just having like a binary 1 or 0 that says this is an instructor or not, it keeps the data completely separate. It really goes a long way in terms of keeping your data organized. In terms of courses, we made data entry very, very easy. You have a 4-letter representation of whatever course you're attempting to put in, so like infx for informatics or CMPS for computer science, and a 3-digit course number that all the courses are going to share. So it keeps your data uniform, and it makes sure that everything looks the same. So whenever you're going through your list of courses, you know exactly what you're looking at. The course description there is created so that you know what the course is about. So like CMPS 310 would be business ethics or social ethics, or infx 380 is systems analysis, and it kind of gives meaning to the data that's there. In addition, each course has associated fees, and you're allowed to put those in there as well. That was something that CLE had told us whenever they were talking to us about it, and how each course kind of varies depending on the content of the course. One of the things we wanted to do for CLE in terms of data entry and retrieval of old data was to make sure that they could put in tours that have already passed and students that have already been in there. And so we gave them the option to start tours in the past, even though that wouldn't technically be realistic. They'll be able to enter in tours that have already passed and gather data and aggregate that data to produce reports to help them see where their business has gone, where it's going in the future, stuff like that. In addition, the region list is kind of limited at the moment, and CLE is definitely looking to expand their business to other places. So we also give them the option to not only just choose from the list, but enter in new regions and have the option to create those regions as they see fit. So another thing that was associated with trips were meals and flights, which may or may not include it. It really varies by trip and by the country that they're going to. So we added in little check boxes that give them the option to specify whether or not that's included, which is really important in the upcoming marketing reports that we're going to see in a little bit. Whenever you're talking about academic programs such as this, or even on campus, it's important to break down course instances into sections. What a section is just a specific course being taught at a specific time by a certain teacher. And so we've allowed them to pull from the entire bank of courses that they enter in for any particular tour that may be coming up and any particular instructor that they wish to use. So it really offers versatility in terms of one teacher going on a certain tour and teaching a section, and then going on a totally different tour and teaching a section of a different course. So it allows them to enter in whatever they need. As far as time goes, you can see we have an input mask there that make sure that it's entered in the correct format. So you're not going to have like 32 o'clock or anything like that. It's important to keep those things very specific and very clean in terms of uniformity. As well as the section number down there. There's no real limitations on the section number, which again, it offers versatility. If there's 9 different sections of a course being taught, that's okay. It just depends on the trip that is in question. Now, whenever we're enrolling students in courses, there's a lot to be concerned about in terms of data integrity. You don't want to have a student enroll in a tour that's from the past. You don't want them to be able to enroll in a course that's not available in a current tour. So what we did was create a form that actually pulls live data. So whenever they click on the tour drop-down box to enter in a new student enrollment, it'll only pull tours that are in the future. So you can't enroll in the tour that's currently going on or one that's already ended. And similarly, with the courses, you can't enroll in a course that's not available for a given tour. So it actually checks the database and queries and returns results based on what that tour currently offers. And on the same token, the section does the same thing. It only pulls sections that are available for the course in a given tour, which is very important whenever we're talking in terms of that. In the same fashion, the student drop-down box there only pulls students that are already entered into the database. It doesn't provide the same option as the region to just enter in a new student because students require much more information. So right here, you're limited to whoever's already in the database. So if you want to enroll a student, you obviously have to create a new entity in the database for that student. At the very bottom of this form, we have the option to select whether or not the student has already paid for this particular course. If they have, then that charge for the course won't appear in their invoice in the months to come. So after bringing in a new student or a new instructor, after they've gone on their tour and they've completed their courses and they come back, it may be necessary to look up previous information about them or personal information in case we need to contact them or anything along those lines. So we've offered forms for the employees of CLE to be able to do that. What they can do is look up by ID if the faculty or student knows their ID or if the ID is known, or they can use the manual buttons, the next student, next instructor, and previous student, previous instructor, to manually sift through all of the particular entries in the database. So whenever cultural learning experiences came to us and Roland McDonald was asking for our help, he made sure that it was very obvious, that it was made known to us that we had to provide a way for him to access this information, because since they outsource their accounting functions and their marketing functions to other firms. And so to be presented with that information is of the utmost importance if they're going to provide accurate results and get the results that they want. So we've included a couple different reports, one that details the trips that are coming up, trips that haven't taken place yet, and the information such as cost and meal and flight inclusions that are going to be pertinent to that particular trip for the marketing firm. It includes things like name and date, stuff that they'll need in order to get the information out about these new trips. We do have a new invoices report as well that's going to be used by the accounting firm. It goes through and it checks for all the students that haven't yet paid for their courses, and it compiles invoices per student based on that. So if they've enrolled in 3 or 4 different tours, it'll pull all that information plus each of the tour costs and add them together so that that information can be relayed over to the customer and they can pay the full amount of their invoice or work out a payment plan with cultural learning experiences. In addition, another important thing to consider when working with academic programs is student schedules and the schedules that are going to go along with tours. So we've also incorporated a method of looking up schedules for a particular student in a particular tour. That'll allow them to easily pull up the itineraries for each student before they're ready to depart.
I think my favorite part of the project was coming up with the idea for this final video presentation. Putting all this together was what I consider fun. I'm a media informatics major, so this is kind of what I'm going to school for, and I really enjoyed it.
Honestly, I think contrary to what I would have believed at the beginning of the project, my favorite part was putting together this video. I learned so much, and just having Corey there to work with me and to see the whole creative process come together, it was just really interesting. I've never been on a movie set or anything before, and just having the lights and being able to talk, and I love to speak, public speaking, so it was really fun for me.
When Bryce and I were working on the database, there was a particular point where I had been reworking the database and rebuilding it from the ground up, trying to figure out some small issues we had with it, and I just broke through at one point and found this thing that fixed it. Even though it wasn't a major part of our database, it was something just random that it was oh, hey, we can do this way, and it works really well.
Working together with other people was kind of hard for me, so we had to put all our ideas together, and I had to open up and trust other people to make sure that the job could get done.
The most difficult part for me was Probably visualizing the relationships in the database. I couldn't ever quite get my head to focus on them in the right way, and it made working on the database a lot more difficult. I really learned a lot about the formal project process, how projects work, and the way that you do things to document and to plan and to take care of everything that goes on in a project.
I think if anything, I definitely learned a lot about how projects work in the real world. Like in past courses and throughout my entire life, really, any group projects we had were just kind of someone threw out ideas until one sounded good and we just went with whatever. This was much more formalized, and it really shows you how businesses will actually do this. Whenever you get out there, that's some important knowledge to have, so you can kind of know where they're going with this and why it's important. You really get a feel for how everything builds upon each other and gives you a much cleaner, more complete project at the end of it all. Have sections being entered willy-nilly, I don't want to say that on camera.